Don Rickles didn't just make Hollywood laugh, he made it flinch. Known for his razor-sharp wit and fearless comebacks, Rickles targeted everyone in his path, from strangers in the front row to the most powerful celebrities in the world. Behind the laughter, though, not everyone left smiling. Some walked away with bruised egos, silent grudges, and unfinished business. Rickles didn't start as a comedian. He trained as a dramatic actor, spending years chasing serious roles that never materialized. Struggling to make it, he turned to nightclubs in New York and Miami. At first, his scripted jokes flopped, until he started responding to hecklers with unscripted jabs. The audience exploded with laughter. That moment changed everything. What began as a desperate move became his signature style, raw, biting, and brilliantly improvised. "I didn't have an act," he once said, "so I insulted people." The audience couldn't get enough. He mocked himself, the crowd, and eventually the most untouchable names in show business. It was risky, but it worked, most of the time. Club owners were skeptical, but one person got it immediately: Frank Sinatra. In the late 1950s, Sinatra watched Rickles perform and burst out laughing when Rickles told him, "Make yourself at home, Frank. Hit somebody." Sinatra became a fan and brought his famous friends. Within months, Rickles was headlining in Vegas, roasting celebrities in sold-out shows. The harsher the insult, the louder the laughs. Television soon followed. Rickles became a regular on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson and a highlight of the Dean Martin celebrity roasts, where even seasoned comedians looked nervous when he stepped up to the mic. He also found success in film, with standout roles in Run Silent, Run Deep, Kelly's Heroes, and Casino, reminding audiences that he was still a trained actor beneath the wisecracks. Despite decades in the spotlight, Rickles wasn't widely awarded until later in life. It wasn't until HBO's Mr. Warmth, The Don Rickles Project, aired that he won his first Emmy and was officially recognized as a comedy legend. But his journey wasn't smooth. Some praised his honesty and guts. Others called him offensive or out of touch. Love him or hate him, one thing's certain: Don Rickles left a mark no one could ignore. Rickles often had to navigate a changing cultural landscape that didn't always embrace the kind of shock humor he helped pioneer. Behind the fast-talking insult comic was a man known for strong opinions, and not every fellow comedian was spared. Over the years, there were names Rickles publicly or privately criticized, and some may surprise you. He didn't just flirt with controversy, he built his act on it. Long before cancel culture or political correctness, Rickles was pushing boundaries others avoided. Race, religion, gender, nationality, nothing was off limits, and he made no apologies. His belief was simple: if everyone gets roasted, no one feels singled out. The absurdity, he claimed, was the joke itself. Still, some of his material would be unthinkable today. One bit had him say, "I love the Italian people. They eat spaghetti, they swell up, and they die fast." The crowd laughed, but today it would spark backlash. Rickles, who was Jewish, often made himself a target too. His approach was to mock every stereotype to expose how ridiculous they were. It was his way of easing social tension with laughter. But the culture began shifting. By the 90s and 2000s, many revisited his old routines with a more critical lens. What once felt edgy now sometimes landed as offensive. In 2012 at the TV Land Awards, Rickles joked, "President Obama is a personal friend of mine. He was over to the house yesterday, but the mop broke." The response was awkward laughter followed by public criticism. Though Rickles had roasted every president he met, this joke felt different. His team defended him, saying he meant no harm, but the moment showed how times had changed. Still, Rickles thrived on political stages. At Ronald Reagan's second inaugural celebration in 1985, he stood before the president, vice president, and dozens of dignitaries and delivered one of his boldest sets. Black, white, Jew, Gentile, we're all working for one cause: to figure out how you became governor. Even Reagan laughed. That was Rickles' magic. He said things that looked outrageous on paper, but when he delivered them with charm and mischief, people laughed. Even the ones being roasted. Frank Sinatra was another favorite target. Rickles said things to Sinatra that no one else would dare, but Sinatra loved him, and that gave Rickles cover. Back then, if Sinatra liked you, most of Hollywood followed suit. Unlike many comedians who softened with time, Rickles never toned it down. Even in his later years, he stuck to his old-school approach, though the world around him shifted. To some, he was a trailblazer. To others, a relic. Younger audiences didn't always get it. They didn't grow up with smoky Vegas clubs or the Dean Martin roasts, and without that context, Rickles could come off as harsh instead of funny. Yet among comedians, Rickles remained deeply respected. Stars like Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock, and Jimmy Kimmel praised his timing, courage, and ability to say brutal things with a smile. To Rickles, it was all in good fun, but not every audience saw it that way. For decades, he walked a tightrope between comedy and controversy, and somehow never fell. He offended many, but most of it came from a place of provocation, not cruelty. Still, even his closest comedy friends took hits from him. One of his most famous targets, and closest friends, was Johnny Carson. Rickles and Carson shared a long-standing friendship rooted in timing, teasing, and genuine chemistry. Rickles appeared on The Tonight Show over 100 times, often unannounced, sometimes crashing other guests' interviews. Carson loved it. He let Rickles turn chaos into comedy gold, playing the calm straight man while Rickles ran wild. But not every moment was scripted. In 1976, Rickles guest-hosted The Tonight Show with Bob Newhart and accidentally broke Carson's prized cigarette box. When Carson returned and found out, he walked across the NBC lot, stormed the taping of Rickles' sitcom, and confronted him on camera. The clip became a late-night classic, capturing the kind of unscripted, real-life humor that defined their bond. Despite all the laughs, rumors swirled that Rickles wasn't always happy behind the scenes, especially about missing out on hosting The Tonight Show when Jack Paar stepped down in the early 1960s. The job went to Johnny Carson, and though Rickles never publicly voiced bitterness, insiders speculated he felt overlooked because of his brash style. Whatever the truth, it never showed on air. Their friendship lasted through Carson's retirement, with Rickles remaining one of the few guests who could truly catch Carson off guard. Rickles often spoke warmly of Carson, calling him a genius and a giant of comedy. When Jay Leno took over The Tonight Show in 1992, Rickles stayed a frequent guest, but their dynamic was different. Rickles used the platform to poke fun at Leno, mocking his delivery, haircut, and even the times he was kept waiting backstage. The audience loved it, and Leno played along, but fans sensed a subtle tension beneath the surface. Unlike Carson's loose, spontaneous style that let Rickles run wild, Leno's structured approach didn't give Rickles the same freedom. While Rickles never disliked Leno, he clearly missed the old late-night magic. Leno accepted Rickles' jabs with grace, praising him as a legend despite the sharp on-air barbs. Rickles' clashes weren't limited to hosts. His relationship with Bob Hope showcased a generational comedy divide. Hope, the polished, scripted elder statesman, and Rickles, the chaotic insult comic, often crossed paths during the Dean Martin celebrity roasts. Rickles relentlessly mocked Hope's cue cards, dated jokes, and need for approval, bold digs that challenged the revered entertainer. Hope had to laugh, but Rickles' jabs highlighted the clash between safe, filtered comedy and Rickles' wild, unfiltered style. Johnny Carson reportedly shared Rickles' frustration with Hope's scripted appearances, which clashed with their improvisational instincts. Women were frequent targets of Rickles' sharp wit, especially Joan Rivers. Their legendary, fierce on-air exchanges, Rickles mocking her looks and surgeries, Rivers firing back at his age and style, felt raw and unscripted. Despite the harsh banter, they respected each other and pushed comedy's boundaries together, symbolizing a golden age of insult humor. Not all comedians matched Rickles' pace. Red Skelton's warm, sentimental style clashed with Rickles' fast, insult-driven humor. Rickles mocked such gentle comedy, showing their very different worlds. Lenny Bruce and Don Rickles rose together but diverged. Bruce's politically charged, socially conscious comedy often sparked controversy, while Rickles focused on quick personal insults for laughs. Rickles admired Bruce's impact, but stayed clear of serious topics, aiming purely to entertain through provocation. By the 1990s, Rickles was a comedy legend, but Howard Stern, the shock jock radio host, criticized Rickles' style as outdated and unfunny. Stern's raw, unscripted radio clashed with Rickles' more traditional showbiz approach. Though Rickles never publicly responded, insiders believed he was annoyed. Yet when Rickles died in 2017, Stern gave a heartfelt tribute, acknowledging Rickles' huge impact on comedy. Even critics couldn't deny his legacy. Rickles' silence in the face of criticism was as powerful as any comeback. His influence shaped comedy in ways both subtle and profound, bridging eras and styles. Please subscribe to our channel for more videos, and don't forget to press the bell icon.